Live with ClickOrlando.com, this is News 6, Getting Results.
Thank you for joining us for a special edition of News 6. I'm Erik Sandoval. Each week, our News 6 investigators look into the issues that are important to you, and hopefully we get results. We start with this story. A Volusia County man has been arrested and charged with fraud. And as a result of a News 6 investigation last year, we told you how the convicted felon was accused of using a fake deed to take a dead man's home. Prosecutors say our report prompted them to re-examine this case and file felony criminal charges. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest has a big update.
I was like, oh my God, oh my God.
That was Carolyn Shank's reaction when News 6 informed her authorities had arrested Trayvon Martin.
There are no words, that will describe the gratitude that I have for getting results on News 6.
Shank contacted us last year after the death of her brother. He owned this Daytona Beach home that previously belonged to their late mother. One day, this moving van unexpectedly showed up, and workers began clearing out the family's belongings, as this cell phone video shows.
Who hired you to come here to my mom's house?
The homeowner. His name is Javon.
Who?
Javon.
I don't know Javon. Never seen him before.
Shank soon discovered this deed, which indicates her late brother, Charles Edward Gadsden, had transferred the property for free to Javon Renard Walden, a convicted felon who lived down the street.
The deed was fake, 100% fake.
As this obituary shows, Charles Gadsden died on November 13th, 2020, but the deed was notarized 1 week later on November 20th.
There was no way that he could have come back from the dead and appeared at a notary signing with Javon.
Shank says her brother's signature on his driver's license looks nothing like his signature on the deed.
Someone needed to stop him.
So Shank alerted authorities, but prosecutors later closed the case without charging Walden.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to call News 6 Getting Results.
When I began digging into the case, did your grandson ever tell you that the man down the street gave him a free house? I discovered a different family had accused Walden of trying to take this home from their dead relative. The deed shows Judith Swindle sold the property to Javon Walden in December 2020, but this death certificate confirms Swindle died 3 years earlier. Walden never got the home, and he never faced any consequences until prosecutors saw our story.
They reopened the case to take another look because of News 6 Getting Results.
Last month, the state attorney charged Walden with organized fraud for creating fraudulent deeds for both houses. But this story is far from over. Before his arrest, prosecutors say Walden sold the home that belonged to Shank's brother for $70,000. Shank cannot get inside the vacant house since it's no longer in her family's name.
I am the heir to this property, and no one else is. And I want it back.
Shank says she is searching for a pro bono attorney who can help her prove to the courts that she's entitled to her brother's house. The man who bought that house tells me that he's hoping to work with Shank, saying that that house is putting a big financial strain on him. As for Javon Walden, he's pleaded not guilty to the charges. Mike DeForest, News 6.
Mike's going to continue to watch that for us. Meantime, 4 years ago, a Michigan man came to the Space Coast to watch a rocket launch, but he left with a DUI. The drug and alcohol counselor was in Central Florida on vacation, and he says a urine test proved that there was nothing in his system at the time. As I found out, the deputies at the scene appeared to have doubts about whether or not to arrest him. John Schoonmaker is this man's name, and he's actually a drug and alcohol counselor back at his home in Michigan. He says a urine test that he took right after being arrested proved that there was nothing in his system. And we found out some deputies at the scene that night may have also had doubts about whether or not he should have been arrested in the first place.
What happened to me was wrong.
John Schoonmaker says he is still battling the aftermath of a DUI arrest made in Brevard County 4 years ago. Investigators say it happened here along this stretch of Highway 1 in Port St. John in January of 2018, just across the Indian River from where a SpaceX rocket was supposed to launch.
I probably was driving kind of slow, just kind of as we're watching the sky, seeing if anything's happening, and ended up getting pulled over.
Dash camera video provided by Schoonmaker's attorney shows his rental car drifting to the side of the roadway, which a deputy would later write prompted him to pull Schoonmaker over.
And I'm going to have you do a few exercises to see whether or not you're okay to drive tonight, okay?
Okay.
The video shows a deputy conduct a field sobriety test where Schoonmaker advises he's on antibiotics for a sinus infection.
Are you taking any medication right now?
I am on a Z-Pack.
And after completing 3 sobriety exercises that the deputy claimed he failed,
At this point, I have no choice but to place you under arrest for DUI.
Schoonmaker is placed under arrest.
Then I was stunned. Of course, I'm saying I don't drink because I don't. Give me a blood test, give me a breathalyzer, give me a urine test, because I need to show you that I've got nothing in my system.
Schoonmaker was booked at the Brevard County Jail and given his urine test. But this drug and alcohol counselor says he would have to wait nearly 3 months for the test to come back negative and the charge against him to be dropped. Then he says he saw the dash camera video, which he says shows deputies discuss letting him go.
I'm thinking it's a PTC pack.
I was going to say you should just let her drive and let him go, but it's too late now.
Nope.
Too late now.
I was so shaken by what I heard.
Those simple words by that specific deputy shows that they had some hesitation throughout the investigation.
But News 6 traffic safety expert Trooper Steve Montiero says deputies in this case appear to have erred on the side of public safety. We asked the Brevard County Sheriff's Office if this case was reviewed at all and if they had anything to say to Schoonmaker. They told us they could not comment because Schoonmaker has now filed a lawsuit. Now, even though his record was expunged, Schoonmaker says he filed this federal lawsuit to clear his name as a drug and alcohol counselor. He is suing Sheriff Wayne Ivey and 2 deputies here in Brevard County. He is also seeking punitive damages. We'll be watching to see what happens. In Brevard County, Erik Sandoval getting results. News 6. Meantime, an Orlando man is a little more than a month into a 20-year prison sentence now after pleading guilty to causing a crash that killed 2 young women. Investigators say he was going 128 miles an hour on North Orange Avenue in Winter Park when this happened. Now, years after the state promised to slow drivers down, the people who live along that stretch of North Orange Avenue say nothing has been done yet. I set out to get answers. The Florida Department of Transportation tells us they installed this electronic sign here along Orange Avenue to let drivers get a better gauge of how fast they're going here. The speed limit here is 35 miles an hour, but as you're about to see, drivers here are going a lot faster than that. News 6 traffic safety expert Trooper Steve Montiero.
But like this, 45, so 10 over.
Uses a police-certified device.
I think it's second car, 45 miles an hour.
To clock just how fast drivers are traveling along this stretch of North Orange Avenue on the Orlando-Winter Park border.
Like this guy here, 55, and thinks that I'm pulling him over. So he's merging over to the right-hand side, so cuts right over.
So based on what you're seeing with this laser gun, is there an issue with people speeding along this stretch?
Yes. At this point, we've been out here long enough to see that there is a pattern.
This is our driveway.
News 6 has reported on crash after crash in this area. Garrick Spears, who lives here, took this cell phone video of a BMW that went airborne and almost hit his home.
Sadly, we know what that sound is these days when cars hit, and we know to drop everything and run out.
State numbers show 203 crashes were reported along this stretch of Orange Avenue within a 5-year period, causing nearly $900,000 in property damage. Investigators say the cause for most of them, speed. Those crashes sparked a grassroots effort here, with some neighbors posting signs asking drivers to slow down. It even prompted the Florida Department of Transportation to develop ways to slow drivers down here. But 3 years after that study was done, no ground has been broken on any projects, and we caught drivers still speeding.
We know that a project does take a little bit long.
Jessica Ottaviano is an FDOT spokeswoman. She tells News 6 they're taking a 2-pronged approach to putting the brakes on speeders here. The first phase will reduce this stretch of Orange Avenue between Clay and 1792 to one lane going in each direction, with a center lane used for turns. For the second phase, crews will install a roundabout on Orange Avenue right outside the Orwin Manor neighborhood. Both projects combined will cost about $3.3 million to build. But construction on the first phase won't begin until 2024 at the earliest. And we found out FDOT is still waiting for money to construct the roundabout.
What does FDOT have to say to some of the residents who say that this is lagging, that it's not happening fast enough?
We understand when people want to see a big change. And to do that big change is going to take some thorough reviews, making sure we're doing the right thing. And we're trying to do some interim work to help in the meantime with those speed feedback signs. And we have to work very closely with law enforcement so that drivers are adhering to the proper speeds that are out there.
Now, to help get results, we checked with local police. Winter Park Police tell us that they have met with the residents who live here. They say they know speed is a concern, and they're continuing to enforce this by writing tickets to drivers. FDOT says that they plan to have a meeting about this project coming up later on this summer. In the meantime, they're asking drivers who drive the stretch of Orange Avenue to slow down because lives literally depend on it. In Orange County, Erik Sandoval getting results. News 6. Elsewhere, thousands of dollars in unpaid jobless benefits finally issued. Two people nearly 200 miles apart say the DEO was holding on to their money for months. News 6 investigator Mike Holfeld and the Make Ends Meet team got results.
I have no idea why in the world those weeks are held.
When we first introduced you to Ashley Butler, she was grappling with a DEO account on hold. $9,000 in unpaid unemployment benefits.
I have 3 babies to feed. You know, I'm just trying to pay my regular bills. I'm not out trying to live extravagantly. I'm just trying to make it.
The single mother of 3 has been delivering groceries for Instacart, trying to survive the mounting bills while her benefits just sat there.
That's a lot of money to be waiting on for unemployment.
Travis, you've been pending now for how long?
Since April 16th.
Do you have any sense of why?
Not at all.
About 170 miles away, Travis Cobb was living a similar unemployment story. Like Ashley Butler, waiting for thousands in benefits. In his case, more than $8,000.
It's rough not being heard by someone that can help me.
Travis is from Lake Worth, not far from Palm Springs. He's in the auto detailing business. COVID-19 put that business on hold. He applied for unemployment benefits and nothing.
You feel like the system let you down?
I feel like the system could have did a lot more to make sure the Floridians get their benefits.
News 6 brought their cases to the DEO's reemployment team, and they're getting their benefits. Travis received $8,300. He writes in part, "Thank you guys so very much. I never would have gotten it without your help."
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
We caught up with Ashley in her van once again. More than $9,000 deposited in her bank account.
Thank you for being for us, because, gosh, if it wouldn't have been for you or getting the results, I wouldn't have got them, and I'm just so grateful. Thank you.
Remember, each case takes a different amount of time to resolve. In the Travis case, it was more than a month. For Ashley, about a week. Each case is different, but we always work to get results. Mike Holfeld getting results, News 6.
And still to come on this special edition of News 6, Getting Results. Across Central Florida, law enforcement agencies have put a renewed focus on their policies and procedures, the new type of intelligence training some local deputies are undergoing, and how it works. Plus, getting results in Ocoee after a child is struck and hit by a hit-and-run driver. That is coming up next. You're watching a special edition of News 6. We're getting results for all of Central Florida on air and on the News 6 mobile app. We'll be right back.
My budget and I, we don't like surprises, but we do like options.
Am's got cash advance up to $500 with no credit check.
Stop in today or get started online.
Surprises don't scare me, and they don't have to scare you either.
This is Dave. He thought he'd save money by getting internet from one company and TV from multiple providers. You see, Dave and his wife watch live TV, Ella her favorite kid shows, and Henry loves sports. it was costing Dave a lot. So Dave switched to Spectrum. Switch to Spectrum Internet and TV from $49.99 per month each. Call 833-841-4999. Spectrum Internet with speeds at 200 megabits includes a free modem and free online security software. And Spectrum TV with over 125 channels includes live local news and regional sports and up to 85,000 on-demand titles. Plus, with the free Spectrum TV app, everyone can stream on their devices anywhere. So now Dave has one bill, one provider, no contracts, and is saving a ton. Be like Dave. Switch to Spectrum Internet and TV from $49.99 per month each. Call 833-841-4999 or visit spectrum.com.
Why risk a bounce check? A cash advance could cost a lot less, and it doesn't hurt my credit rating.
Am's got cash advance, up to $500 with no credit check.
Now with more 24-hour locations than ever.
Why Scott? Do the math.
What the?
What the?
We've all seen some strange things on our roads that make us go, what the? And now I want you to share those moments with me. Send videos and pictures from your dash camera or your passenger of all the wild and weird things that you see, and I'll break down the good, the bad, and yes, the surprisingly correct driving habits. Visit clickorlando.com/whatthehonk to submit what you're seeing today.
Welcome back. Here is proof that communities can get results if they band together. The city of Ocoee completed a crosswalk after a 13-year-old boy was hit by a car. He was trying to cross near Worst Road and Adair Street when all this happened. The boy's mother and several neighbors went to the city for help. News 6's Amanda Castro spoke to neighbors who are really grateful that they're seeing some safety improvements now.
Well, you can see the city got to work right away. We've got cones already set up, the outline of the new crosswalk, just waiting for concrete to be poured next week, along with some new signage that's set to come.
They're moving quick.
Buddy Welch gives a thumbs up to neighbors as they walk past the new crosswalk at Worst Road and Adair Street, calling this a great step in making this intersection safer.
I have to give appreciation to the city council members and the mayor and all the employees that are working to make this happen. Let's hope they can continue to push.
His camera captured the moment last week when a young boy on his bike was hit by a car while crossing Worst Road. The driver taking off. That crash prompted the boy's mother, Ashley Wynn, and neighbors to demand changes.
I want to see change. I'm not going to stop until there is change.
And News 6 has been pushing Ocoee city leaders and the Public Works Department for more than a week to get results. Wynn taking her concerns to the city commission Tuesday night. The city telling her they drafted up plans to install a crosswalk, and by the next day,
we had the meeting Tuesday, and then Wednesday afternoon they showed up and started working.
Welch says he gives credit to the city for stepping up in light of a terrible incident.
I would say, you guys, I think the media involvement has helped immensely. So let's keep it up.
We
Okay.
won't let up. We won't let up.
You guys are helping to get results, and being persistent is the key.
I spoke to Wynn earlier today. She says she's shocked with how fast this is all coming together, and she's grateful that the city is taking action to make this area safer. Reporting in Ocoee, Amanda Castro, Getting Results, News 6.
Well, this year marks 10 years since the death of Trayvon Martin. His death became yet another example in the national outcry about shooting deaths of unarmed black men that continues today. We are looking at some of the changes that are going on and that have been made since.
In the heart of historically black Sanford sits the Goldsboro Welcome Center. In February, the center displays Trayvon Martin artwork, banners, and memorabilia. February is not only Black History Month, it's also the month the 17-year-old was born and the month he was killed.
Do you think Trayvon Martin's death has had an impact around the country?
Yes. Frances Oliver is the founder and owner of the Goldsboro Welcome Center and Museum and a Sanford historian.
Trayvon's death and Trayvon's name and the injustice about Trayvon caused a lot of people to be more alert.
In February of 2012, Trayvon Martin was shot and killed in Sanford by George Zimmerman, who was 28 at the time. Zimmerman claimed self-defense and was not immediately arrested. It sparked outrage from the community and grew into an international movement.
We want to see Zimmerman in court
with handcuffs behind his back.
Weeks after the shooting, Reverend Al Sharpton organized a rally calling for the Sanford Police Department to arrest Zimmerman. Thousands packed Sanford's Fort Mellon Park. Around the same time, Sanford's police chief, Bill Lee, was fired.
And what has changed since then? What would you say has changed?
I think the one that I recognize most is a change in the police department. They are friendly, they are willing to help. We don't see them, you know, with people on the ground and all this kind of stuff.
So that's not an accident?
No, it's not. What's been important for us is to make sure that our guys are out and about, even myself, out and about trying to do things in the community.
Chief Cecil Smith started in Sanford about a year after Trayvon Martin's death.
His death was not law enforcement related, but it gave us all an opportunity to say, hey, how can we be better as a community? How can we be better in law enforcement as well?
Chief Smith immediately started rebuilding the department and the trust within the community by making officers visible and accessible. He does a monthly meeting in Goldsboro with Commissioner Kerry Wiggins. He also created a website broken down into community service areas where residents can click on their neighborhood and see the officers who patrol their area and even email them directly.
It's about us, you know, getting back to the old ways of police officers and community people knowing who each other are.
And the community has noticed.
There have been some changes for the better, especially in the police department.
That was Lewis Bolden with that story. Elsewhere, the Lake County Sheriff's Office has a new tool to help them handle what they call a growing number of crisis calls. Deputies there are now training to address situations that require de-escalation. Lake County deputies let Maris Badcock in to see exactly how it works.
This is a drill.
Sounds like shots are coming from down the hall, man.
Meant to get deputies as close to the real thing.
Where did he go?
As humanly possible. A simulator which can change on a dime. Depending on a deputy's choice.
Just relax, just relax.
Well, this de-escalation technique, this is really another tool in your tool belt.
Correct. Hey, sir, what's going on?
Not everything has to be a use of force.
So what are we doing out here today?
De-escalation is talking somebody down, getting to get them in a different space.
I don't know what you do.
I think we do a lot of training on firearms. We do a lot of training with non-lethal weapons, but we don't get a lot of training on how to talk and interact with people.
I won't shoot you. I won't shoot you.
In a 270-degree simulator. Inside the Lake County Technical College, deputies can practice their responses to more than 300 different scenarios, training for both accuracy and emotional intelligence.
We can go ahead and train with less cost and run multiple scenarios and then be able to critique that scenario and have them run it again and run it again. And that way they develop muscle memory.
Our News 6 investigative team was invited to watch the first deputies go through the new simulator.
Put the baby on the ground. I'm like stressed out over this fake thing that just happened.
Imagine doing this every day.
That is as realistic as it gets. We spend 12 hours a shift responding to people in crisis. And so we have to train for those type of situations.
Like, we got multiple casualties down.
Not every scenario in the simulator will end peacefully. Deputies will also be tested on how they escalate their response when de-escalation and communication fail.
You don't want to be a murderer.
But the lifelike scenarios,
drop the gun,
and mental muscle memory, the feedback and repetition should help them respond when they come into contact with crisis.
Shots fired in the library.
And here's the thing, anytime you can introduce a new tool that continues to encourage dialogue and communication, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for the officer. It's a win-win for the community. This is what this training is all about. It's a training simulator about verbal communication.
We'll definitely get you a roof over your head tonight, man.
Again, that was Maris Badcock with that story. 3 Floridians medaled at the Winter Beijing Olympics this year, all of them in the same sport, and they have something else in common as well. They all came from the same Central Florida town. So how did one sunny Florida town produce so many winners on the ice? Well, Maris is back to find out. You're watching a special edition of News 6 Getting Results. We'll be right back.